Hello, my lovely listeners. I'm Dr. Mary Barson.
And I'm Dr. Lucy Burns. Welcome to this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss. Good morning, lovely listeners. It's Dr. Lucy here again. And this week, I'm super excited to introduce to you a really special guest, one of our, valued members who did the 12-week mind-body rebalance last year and has the most fabulous story to tell. So I just wanted to introduce her to you all. Her name is Monique. Welcome, Monique, to the podcast.
Thanks, Dr. Lucy. I'm very excited to be here to share my story with you today and with your listeners, of course.
Of course. Well, I'm super happy that you agreed to come on it because it is, I think your story, so many women will relate to it. And there's lots of things that are in there that perhaps people, a few myths in some ways that I would like to dispel about women in general and things that happen to them. So what I'd love, if you feel comfortable, to start from the start and just tell us your story.
Okay, I reckon I can probably do that. So I'm in my late 50s now. I certainly don't feel it. I might just say that. I've been married for over 30 years. I've got 5 children and they all did heaps of things when they were kids. And I was the super mum. I did everything. I cooked, I cleaned, I washed, I shopped. I ran their calendars, ran mine. We've on 5 acres. I maintained that, including a pool. I, make sure I made time to keep in touch with my friends. I did a bit of sewing. I used to make quilts, don't now. A couple of times a year, I'd drive from regional New South Wales to Melbourne. I'd have all my kids in the car, usually just me and the kids on our own. We had a great time. Visit my family down there. I was on boards and committees for things I was interested in, music and art and that sort of stuff. And I was even in a book club for a while. It was a very social book club, but meant you had to do it. And I worked full time. They say you want something done, give it to a busy person. Well, that was I was that person. I was always working. I was always doing. And then after I had my 5th child, just because I wasn't really busy enough, I then studied. I'd always wanted to get a university degree. I'd finished actually in year 10. I'd done a TAFE certificate after that, certificate in management. But so with my uni degree, I said, that's it. So doing part-time distance education as it was then, online. I got my bachelor's degree. Then I got a grad cert. And then I did my master's degree. Because that's not quite enough to do, I decided later on I'd do my PhD, but that's another part of the story. One of the other things I squeezed into my 45-odd years of my life, I went to Everest Base Camp, which was an amazing thing.
Yes, unbelievable. And this is the thing, isn't it? Like you, I don't know if you've ever done your Clifton Strengths, but there's, various traits that people have. And I reckon in yours there will be one, achiever.
It's funny that you don't necessarily set out to achieve. A lot of people say, I've always wanted to do this, but base camp was more a friend said to me, well, I'm going with a group. Would you like to come? And at first I went, I couldn't do that. I couldn't leave all my kids and all my stuff. And so I actually took 4 weeks off work. First time I've ever done that in my life, and went to base camp with this friend and this group. It was phenomenal.
That sounds amazing. So as you were busy, achieving all the things, what was going on with your health?
Generally up and down as I had my children, and I'd put on weight with children and take it off again and things like that. Food-wise, I always felt we were really good eaters. We ate vegetables. Mum and Dad had brought us up on, meat and 3 veg. It's a good old food. So I sort of did that with my kids, but I, gave them rice. I gave them pastas and things. 5 kids, you got to feed them with something. And we had a really relaxed style. We would eat dinner at the tea table, but we just like, what do we have today? Okay, we'll have that. I felt we ate well, though. I really did. It's an interesting concept when you look at what people eat on the program.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And everybody is conditioned to believe that particularly Weet-Bix are healthy. I
thought so.
Would have to be the number one thing. Yeah, I thought so. We all think so. Aussie kids are Weet-Bix kids. But yes. And so what was happening with you then over time?
So just constantly busy doing things for the people that needed them done, whether that was work or children or whatever. And I just sort of, for myself, flowed along with whatever. Like if I went shopping for food and things like that, I would just like go, oh, my husband likes that and my kids like that, or, and I'd put the things in the trolley, that's, what we'll have for tea. But I'd get home and I'd be unpacking it all and I'd think, oh, I've got the kids biscuits and I've got my husband chocolate and I've got all the things that they love. And I didn't really sort of buy anything particularly for me. I just wouldn't do that. You just didn't think about you. I'd fill my calendar up with all the work things, the kid things and all that. And if I got time to myself, it would be like, ooh, let's have a cup of tea. That was it.
Yes.
And at work, I would work. I'm a very dedicated worker, like many of us people who do lots of things. Often I'd go to work and I'd just get right into it. I'd often skip lunch, just drink tea. I better have a break. I'd go and make a cup of tea, come back and drink it. If I didn't know what I wanted to have at lunchtime in the morning before I left, I wouldn't make anything because lazy.
Not lazy. Listen to you. And this is a really interesting point, because this is so often women will say, oh, I just didn't do it, I was a bit lazy. Listen to what you do in your day. You are the antithesis of lazy.
True. I would make my kids lunches and I'd think, I don't know what I'm going to feel like at lunchtime. So I just wouldn't make anything. And then I'd go and just spend this day working. And at the break time, I would go, I can't be bothered to go and get something. It's too cold. It's too hot. It's too far. So, I would just not. I'd have a cup of tea and that would be it. And then I'd go home in the afternoon and I'd have afternoon tea with the kids. And that would always be a special treat. Like for me, it would be special. We'd eat fruit or whatever, but probably not really the sort of thing I should have eaten when I didn't eat anything all day.
Yeah. So not a lot of protein in that, in that first bit.
I don't think I actually knew what protein was back then.
Perfectly fine. A lot of people don't, but now you know.
Now I know, that's right. But the other thing I'd do, I'd join challenges. So I had to achieve. I'm an achiever.
Yes.
So I'd go in the Great Cycle Challenge or the push-up or squat challenges. I'd walk for brain cancer research. I'd do workplace step challenges. If Strava was doing a challenge, the running app, I might go in one of those. I'd set myself a challenge and had to achieve that. And then I'd go back to my olden ways. I didn't keep doing my squats every day.
Well, again, I think it's tricky because sometimes particularly if you're a little like me, a little bit competitive, you set yourself up to win the challenge and you go all in. And it goes back to that thing that I often talk about, the all or nothing concept. So you're all in, you're winning the squats, you're absolutely, up there, you're getting all the gold medals, hooray. And then that's the end of that. Again, if you can do a challenge every month, then I suppose it's helpful and a sustainable thing. But this has been something that is, as I've talked a lot about, and one of the concepts we teach a lot is that the idea is actually not to be the winner. It is actually to create a habit that is sustainable, that you can do ongoing. And to do that, it has to be something that is not ridiculous.
Yeah. Look, I tried diets and things like that as well. I mean, I did do things like the couch to 5K, which builds you up. And again, I could run around our lake, which is about 6K, and that was really good. Yeah. But then I sort of I've done that. I don't know why I give up like that. But with diets and stuff, I'd tried all sorts of stuff from Mike Mosley's 5-2 fasting, but I just couldn't commit and I'd feel so sick. I'd be really hungry. I'd feel sick. So then I'd eat. I calorie counted. That was the other thing with the app. My Fitness Pal, a calorie counter, only like 1,200 calories a day, which was like plenty, but I'd eat whatever I wanted to get to 1,200.
Yes.
If I wanted, 2 glasses of wine, it only left me 600 left, and that could be 2 pieces of bread. That was my day.
No. But I think this is part of the thing, isn't it, with calorie counting, is that you're just focusing on, you don't focus on nutrition or satiety or any of the things that your body actually needs. It's really just a number.
It is, and that's right. I know you can check all the macros and stuff like that in the back, but that's like getting a bit too hard for the average Joe. So yeah, but yeah, you're right. I was not thinking of the quality.
No, no, no. But again, it's not our fault. We're not necessarily taught that. And in fact, what we're taught in diet culture is that the holy grail is thindom, and you get there. However, the way you get there is irrelevant. You just have to get there.
Yeah.
And so we do these things that are sometimes brutal, really hard yakka, but we do it in the quest of thinness. And you think it doesn't matter because I'm going to get there and then I'll feel really good. And then you get there and it's either impossible to maintain it or life just gets in the way. You get busy. You get one of your 5 kids needs something. I mean, heaven forbid.
That's right. Oh, there's a birthday party. Goodness, you have plenty of those with 5 kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's all there in front of you.
So fast forward a few years, and where did you find yourself?
Oh, so fast forward a few years, I sort of a big change in my life. And my last child was old enough to look after herself almost. But in 2014, so she wasn't quite old enough by then, she was in her early teens, I decided I'd quit my full-time job. I'd worked since I was 16 years old, full-time since I was 16, straight out of school, straight into that job. So I decided that I'd become an academic. I worked at a university, so I just wanted to like move over the other side of the hill, as they say in university terms. So the only way to do that was to get my PhD. Yeah, because I needed another degree. I had a few, but hey, I didn't have that one.
Yeah.
So I turned 50. I submitted my resignation. I achieved a scholarship for study. So I was like, yes, maybe I can do this. I felt I was really ready for a big change, and it was a huge decision. 5 kids and a husband, and they were all still at home, I might add. But, the best laid plans. In the January, I had a really traumatic experience that just really brought home to me all the things that had been going on in my personal life for a long time that I'd been pushing down and keeping at the background because I had so much to do, and I had a facade, I guess. I had to keep up for my kids and around my friends and at my workplace, and it just all came crumbling down on me. And I sort of think, when I think back on it, how unstable these foundations that I thought I had under me really, really were. And then it's like that wasn't bad enough. Menopause. Hello. And now maybe one triggered the other. I don't really know because it's always such an individual thing, that lovely menopause. Well, so here I was with, honestly, a physical response to trauma and then menopause. So I'm having hot flushes every day, every night. I was just like, I didn't know whether I had mood swings or not because I didn't know what normal was. It was just like crazy, crazy stuff. And, I just realized this year, which is a few years after 2014, that I'd become entirely lost. I really didn't know who I was or what I was, where I was. I had so much self-doubt, even though I kept putting myself out there and trying the things and doing new things and, presenting the presentations and doing all of that. I was really, really super insecure about pretty well every decision that I made and everything I thought of. Even though I went ahead and made the decision, it was like walking on a tightrope, having to put your foot one step in front of the other all the time, but never knowing if you're just about to fall off it, because that could be what happened next. This sort of last couple of years, I've realized that I actually have been quite depressed and had really, what I didn't realize, escalating social anxiety. I'm quite social, but I would get so freaked out in myself about having to go somewhere. I'd say to people, I'd love to go to that. That'd be super. And I meant it. And then as the time got closer, I would just be, an excuse. Oh, is a kid sick? Oh, no, I haven't finished cooking tea. Or there would always be something. And so many times I would send a message to the friend and say, look, I just can't get there tonight. It was really, really something that I didn't see around myself at the time. So I was committing all my energies to things that would make me sort of important for something not looking after me at all, absolutely not knowing myself in any way so that I could say, oh, you're this type of person or you're that type of person. I really had no idea.
I think sometimes this happens a lot, and a lot in the medical profession, is that when we get filled with doubt, we can go, oh, well, once I have this next qualification, then I'll feel okay. Once I've achieved this next level of something or other, then I won't, then the doubt will be gone. And it same happens with, conversely, with people going, trying to drop weight. They think, once I've dropped 10 kilos, then I'll feel okay. Once I've dropped 15 kilos, then I'll feel okay. The thing that has to happen is you have to start to feel okay first.
Yes. And again, in hindsight, you can sort of see that. I know that all I was doing was just trying to get through, not at all thinking about what was going on. The changes in me were much more insidious than one day walking down the hall and going, oh, who's that? It was just like I didn't even notice, and I stacked on the weight. And well, again, I've never been a big person, but much bigger than the me I like to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was a 14, 16 instead of an 8, 10. So for me, that was just not me. But I hurt everywhere. I had sore knees. I couldn't really walk up and down stairs. And my house is up 3 steps. So every time I wanted to come in and out, I mean, 3 is not many, but still, every time I wanted to come in and out, that was painful. Down the ramp at the back, that was painful. And I climbed to Mount Everest with these knees, same ones. I had headaches. I had back pain. I couldn't think. Here I am doing my PhD and I can't think. I had reflux. I had low iron. Oh, look, I was just falling apart. I was a total mess. And if anything happened, not that I'd cry, but I couldn't cope with it. I would just it made me withdraw even more than what I was doing before. And the most physical thing, aside from weight, my fingernails, which are beautiful, I always have gorgeous fingernails, lovely and strong, they started splitting and peeling apart. And I'm like, what's going on? Obviously, my life was a wreck. And I still worked and still did stuff. I was even told I was pre-diabetic and I nearly fell over. I'm like, what?
So what you're epitomizing here is this concept we talk about of being overweight and overwhelmed.
Yes.
So much going on, so much, and working out how the hell did I get here?
Yeah. How did I get here, and what on earth can I do now? And I can tell you what I did.
Ooh, pray tell.
First thing I did was, because this is a couple of years ago, the knees, I just had to do something. So I went to a physio and I went back to the gym. I thought, you've got to get strong. So it doesn't matter where your weight is, you've got to have strength in your body to be able to move comfortably. So I did that. Like by now, the knee problem, my whole right side was an issue. So we started working on that, and I'd see my PT, the amazing Jeannie, that's her real name. I'd see her twice a week, and I'd do little challenges and stuff like that. I would do whatever she told me pretty much. And then with COVID, of course, in 2020, I had Jeannie Zoom into my lounge room every week, twice a week. She'd Zoom into my lounge room. I'd do my HIIT classes with her there. And that gave me all these skills that I could use whenever I wanted. So that was fantastic. And because knees was my issue, I'd ride. So I got a little trainer, bring my bike inside, and I'd ride. And I could feel that I was getting stronger. And I noticed, I could do things like those stairs didn't hurt as much. So by about May 2021, I was doing at least 30 minutes exercise every day, 6 out of 7 days. And physically, I felt better. My mind still not quite there, but in my tummy, I still felt ergy. So I thought, I'm going to give up bread. Bread, it's always the problem, isn't it? I'd be bloated and I'd be windy and just generally felt blurgy. So I gave up bread. Nothing changed. With nearly 3 years with Jeannie, no weight changed. All this exercise I've just described, no weight went down. I actually got heavier steadily. I ended up being 78 kilos. And through most of my life, I'd been 60-ish. I'm not particularly tall. So I wasn't big, but, I was big.
Yeah, well, it's 30% above your baseline level.
Oh, good on you with your maths.
Yeah, look at me go.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And like, I don't eat chocolate and desserts, and I was active. I'm like, what? I'm looking at myself going, what can I do? What else can I do? We'd even started eating HelloFresh. And that was an interesting experience for me because I'm like, oh, this is all good, healthy food. Look how fantastic this is. I picked the low calorie option. We should be going, I'd cook it. It'd be beautiful food. But I found out later that if you choose, like they suggest 3 meals for you or whatever you've chosen. If you choose those, yes, you're on the low calorie. But if you don't, if you change and pick from anything else on the list, it won't be the diet type that you've selected.
Yes. We just did a blog post on why weight loss is more than a meal plan. I'll link that to the show notes for any listeners. But you're absolutely right. Just following somebody else's meal plan is often unhelpful because if there's something on it that you don't like and you swap it out or you go out for dinner, then all of a sudden the meal plan is not the meal plan.
Yeah. I've always been a blood donor until my low iron. They keep sending me away, and I'd like, this is so frustrating. Another thing that just really hit my self-esteem, like, oh, they don't even want my blood. So I found out I could donate plasma still, even with lower iron. So whilst I did address the iron issue, I switched to plasma. So I go and do that donation every fortnight. In July 2021, I went in and I saw one of the nurses there came down the hall walking towards me. I've seen her lots. I said to her, I can't believe how much you've changed. She looked amazing. And she said she felt great. She said best she's ever felt. And that's when she told me about you, Dr. Lucy, and Dr. Mary, and these two lovely doctors down in Melbourne, blah, blah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
tell me about them. So she'd done the 12-week mind-body rebalance that eventually I did during the January. And she said it just changed her life. She felt better all over. She had less pain. She also had knees. She'd lost kilos, so much so that she actually had to buy new work clothes. She said they were just falling straight off her. So while I was donating with my one free hand, I Googled real life medicine and read what it was all about. And I think I went home and joined the next one that day. It was like, I'm not even going to look at how much that is because I can see what that did for this other friend of mine, and I want that. So I joined the 12-week program, but I stopped carbs almost straight away. I just thought, why am I waiting?
Yes. I love that because, we often have people that go, oh, I've just got to finish all the carbs in sight and then I'll start with a clean slate. And it's like, oh, but great mindset. You just went, no, well, I'm starting now. Beautiful.
Well, yeah, why wait till tomorrow what you can do today? So, and I know that that's something that you girls have said, don't wait till tomorrow. Let's just do it now.
Best time to start was 10 years ago. Second best time is now.
Oh, I reckon I could have started 30 years ago and probably felt good all that time. I don't even want to think about that. But yeah, I got everything out and I sorted some things, like I keep those for visitors. I put a whole lot of stuff in a box and I rang up a friend who's got young children. I felt a little bit bad, but I said, look, if you guys eat this stuff, please take it off my hands because I'm not going to eat it. And they did, which was good. So then I went to the deli for the first time really to buy something other than just bacon. So of course I bought bacon and I bought some nice like roast beef and some salamis and things like that, which I've never really eaten, and a couple of cheeses because I thought, well, I've got to be able to eat something that I like to get me going. If I'm not going to eat all this stuff, that's what I'm going to do. But the other thing I said to myself is I'm actually going to stop at lunchtime and eat food, real food. I'm going to eat real food. So I had, for all of August, I ate bacon and eggs with spinach and cherry tomatoes all cooked in the one pan for lunch every day. And I did the cryptic crossword. My mum sends those up for me from the Melbourne Age. And I did not snack at my desk. I had a little sign that said, no snacks, eat a meal.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, wonderful.
And it worked.
Yes, yeah.
And I used to drink Diet Coke to make me feel better in the tummy, just it was one of those things I just started. I don't touch that. I just have the most exciting it gets is soda water at dinner time, unless I am having a glass of wine. But that's not food, but it's just different. And we just sort of cut everything out. My partner, he tries to do the right thing, but he's just not as good as me in regard to, he does like chocolate. So I've never been, I'll eat it, but I'm not partial. He likes chips and things like that. So I'm still working on him. I'll get him there eventually. But unfortunately, he's got his own card, so he's allowed to go to the shops.
Of course, he's the boss of him, as we always say.
That's right. He is the boss of him. But certainly whatever I make, and like he loves the fact that if nobody here wants to cook dinner, he can make bacon and eggs and I'll be happy.
Absolutely. So if I make a little summary of what you've just been telling us, that your health reached a crisis point, you were inflamed, you had sore knees, going up and down stairs was a problem for, we're talking an ex-Everest climber here, and everything ached and you felt like rubbish and you had brain fog and you went to the gym. And we do know that exercise is super helpful, like strength training, as you know, we're often banging on about that. And it was good, but not enough. And you're not a junk food eater, so you were eating pretty much, what the food pyramid would be, and your weight didn't change. In fact, you got heavier, which some of it may be muscle. I know that's what our listeners will be thinking, and that may be true, but you certainly didn't lose any weight.
No. Well, I can sort of tell, yes, muscle did increase because with my PT, she'd do like befores and afters and things like that. So she could always see how much fat was on there. I don't remember the numbers. They don't stay in my head. But my beautiful PT, Jeannie, had gone away in June. She was doing a big Australia trip like many people have been lucky enough to do. She came back in November. And while she was away, I'd worked with another PT, but we'd just done the same stuff. The only other thing I'd changed was to go on the real life medicine.
12-week mind body rebalance. Yeah.
Mind body, that's right. So the only thing I had changed is that I'd started that 12-week mind body rebalance. And when she came back in the November, she nearly fell over. I had to reassure her it wasn't the other PT. I said, it's not. It is eating the right things. I come to the gym just like I'd always done. Maybe my extra 30 minutes is in between. And she knew she and I had worked really hard for 3 years and never made a change like that. And it was the rebalance program that made the difference.
It's so, we talk, as you know, we talk 95% mindset, because if you haven't got your mindset right, it doesn't matter what program you've got, it's not going to work. But then the food is so important because, as a woman who was pre-diabetic, you were highly insulin resistant, just like me, just like Dr. Mary. So eating carbs, like whether they're simple, people go, they're good carbs. Doesn't matter if they're good carbs. At the end of the day, flour is just savory sugar. It's exactly the same. Your body doesn't know whether that glucose is coming from a Mars bar or from a bread roll. It's the same thing.
I hadn't thought of it that way. Not at all.
Yeah.
And you're right. The positive mindset is so important, and setting good habits. I found, especially when I was studying and I had to finish my PhD, I submitted at the end of November. So I'm really stoked about that. But I set up each day a really strong little routine, and my feet had hit the floor at like 6:15. I'd be up. I'd do my exercise. If you don't do it first thing, you're bloody not going to do it in my life anyway. So I have to do it first thing. I'd put my feet on the floor. I'd say, I'm feeling well. I'm feeling ready to do it. And, I'm not tired or whatever, even if I'd had a late night. I wouldn't let that morning voice stop me. I'd just nope, that's it. I'd go down and splash my face with freezing cold water in winter. It's freezing where I live in winter, straight from the tap. And then I'd just go and get into it. And I've made my own space where I can go, and that's got, my candles and my things in it, so I can feel really good about myself in there and do my own things, whether it's reading, sleeping, meditating, whatever.
When did you set this little space up?
In about June. I just thought I really need to have a space of my own. This is sort of the mental health thing as well, trying to get my head back to me and learning a bit more about me and what I was going to do. And I'm not one of those gurus or anything like that. I don't do that. I'm pretty.
No, that's all right. No.
A pretty sensible, down to earth person, but you do need to spend some time on you at some point in your life.
Absolutely. And I think this, again, what you're highlighting is the thing that women do. We are not, I know every now and then we'll call ourselves lazy. We are not lazy. I don't know a lazy woman. But I do know that what we will do is we'll get everybody else's jobs done or their needs met. So they get the cream of the coffee and we get the dregs at the bottom. And so then when you're working on the dregs, you kind of think, God, why is this so hard? Why am I so hopeless? And you start to really, if you give yourself the dregs, you feel like the dregs and then you become the dregs. And the only way to stop being the dregs is to actually become the cream. And it doesn't mean that you have to be the cream all the time. And I think sometimes women are worried that they'll be selfish if they say no to other people. And, it's the last thing we want to be. But I can tell you now, there's nobody I know who's been dregs who then becomes selfish. It's just not in our nature. But we do have to give ourselves, be at the top sometimes.
That's right. That permission to put yourself first and learning to say no, because what we want to have others do as well as learn to say no too. We need to be able to hear no, but which we're able to do, but we need to be able to say it ourselves and say, I don't need to do that. I don't need to eat that. I don't wish to go there. Tonight is not the night for that, or whatever it is that you're saying no to. You've got to be able to say it, because other people go around saying no left, right, and centre. Why don't women do it as much as they should?
Because they're worried, again, it's that thing, well, people think I'm selfish, people think I'm this, people think I'm that, when really at the end of the day, we are amazing, amazing beings. As you said, we're generous, we are blooming high achieving, and sometimes we just lose our way.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what happened with me for sure. And I see, other people around me. I think, yeah, let's work on us. We need to work on us. My sisters, my friends, we can all work on us a little better, because we have dedicated our lives to our children and our partners and our work. Why? It doesn't give us very much back.
Yeah, but sometimes I think we have maybe our self-worth's a little, fragile. And so we think that by working hard, that will make us feel us. It might for a little bit, and then you lose it again, and then you've got to go and do the next thing to get that self-worth. And being able to actually just be comfortable in your own skin with your own self, doing your own thing is like amazing. Amazing.
Well, that's right.
So I know that our listeners obviously can't see you, but I can. And I can tell you now, Monique looks so well. And I'd forgotten how old she was, but if I'm looking at her now, there's no way she looks like she's in her late 50s, was it late 50s? You look about 45. Like, it's amazing. You look so vibrant and healthy. Your skin looks beautiful. She's wearing this fantastic T-shirt which has got Choose Happiness in about 7 different rainbow colors. And I think, you are now embodying what it must feel like to have literally reclaimed your health.
Absolutely. And what, in 8 months, or not even that, 6 months, including the program, just my mindset has changed, and that wouldn't have happened before, with diets and PT and all that. It's never changed like this before. I just feel much better in me, and I go out the door with a spring in my step, which is weird. And I don't think of my age at all, really. I just think I actually do feel like I'm in my 40s, which is great, because I'm going to tell everyone that's how old I am now.
Absolutely. Yeah. No one would blink an eyelid. No one would blink an eyelid, I can tell you. So yes, from overweight and overwhelmed to in control and full of health. That's one of our lovely mantras. And you, my love, have completely smashed that goal. So I'm super proud of you. And I just think that you just look so healthy. I mean, that's all I can say. Is coming through the screen, it's like glowing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I mean, being part of the inner circle momentum too is something that I'm excited to get into, because I'm not studying at the moment, just working. But I'm looking forward to what that has to offer, just to keep this going. I thought, oh, should I, shouldn't I? I thought, no, I will do that this year, and just make sure it's embedded, because for me, it's too easy to stop at the end of the 12-week or the 8-week or the whatever short program it is. I do need to keep being reminded until it's really embedded as something that is me, and not just something that I've done.
Yes. And I think that's, when Mary and I were coming up with a name, for the 12-week program, we purposely did not call it a challenge, because a challenge implies there's an end. And at the end of the day, we know that, losing weight is one thing, but it doesn't end, doesn't stop. Doesn't even stop when you get to your goal. Good health. And really, I think we're coming up with all little phrases all over the place. But, my current one is that weight loss is a personal development program. It really is learning about yourself, learning your triggers, learning what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And it's actually a wonderful journey of self-discovery.
It is. I agree. And you're always on that journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, my love, thank you so much for sharing your story with our listeners. I'm sure they will relate to many aspects of it. And, as I said, you truly are a superstar, and we're very, very proud of you.
Thank you so much. And I thank both you, Dr. Lucy and Dr. Mary, and all of the others who've been on the program and input to the different sessions. It's just been wonderful. And your other podcasts I've listened to, they're really great, and so many really amazing stories from so many of your participants and your ladies and your gents.
Yes. I know, we do. And, as we always say, Mary and I, we're the luckiest doctors in the world. We have a fantastic job. So it's wonderful. All right, lovely listeners. Well, that brings this week's podcast to a close, and I look forward to chatting with you next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now. The doors to the 12-week Mind-Body Rebalance are now open. The program starts February the 5th, and there are bonuses available finishing Wednesday, February the 2nd. So, lovelies, quick sticks, and we'll see you on the inside. Bye for now. The information shared on the Real Health and Weight Loss podcast, including show notes and links, provides general information only. It is not a substitute, nor is it intended to provide individualized medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor can it be construed as such. Please consult your doctor for any medical concerns.